We are back with NBC News in depth. Just today, we learned from the federal government the amount of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere was up last year by 19 billion tons. The amount of methane was up by even more. Tonight, we travel to a small nation of just 4 million people that's made a big commitment to restore its most beautiful and valuable natural wonder to help the economy and the larger world in the process. From Costa Rica tonight, as part of our series of reports, here's our Chief Environmental Affairs correspondent, Ann Thompson.
Costa Rica, Central America's Garden of Eden, home to spider monkeys and macaws, mammoth butterflies and sloths. A kaleidoscope of life, because Costa Rica is doing what seemed to be impossible. It's reforesting its land, pushed by this man, former Environmental Minister Carlos Manuel Rodriguez.
We believe that the best way to really protect the environment is touching the heart, but also the pocket of the Costa Ricans.
To stop Costa Ricans from destroying their lush habitat to raise coffee and cattle, in 1996, Rodriguez convinced his government to pay farmers to protect their environment. Now, instead of raising cattle like her father and grandfather, Fiorella Bally is paid to raise trees, some to capture carbon dioxide, others for sustainable timber.
My father told me we need to protect the forest and plant trees because eventually those trees will finance the education of my children.
What she earns comes from a gasoline tax and fees businesses pay to use the environment, like this hydropower plant that turns a forest's pristine water into electricity.
For our company, we are very proud to do something for the environment.
20 years ago, Costa Rica's forests covered just 21% of the country. Today, it's more than half, a fast turnaround. And now the U.S. is helping in a Debt for Nature swap, giving Costa Rica $12 million to protect the rainforest.
What does America get in exchange for forgiving the debt?
America gets to help protect 5% of the world's biodiversity.
The centerpiece of Costa Rica's efforts also absorbs the greenhouse gas carbon dioxide.
Consider this. Each year, the cutting down and burning of rainforests puts more carbon into the air than all the world's cars, trucks, planes, and trains.
The Osa Peninsula is Costa Rica's most spectacular rainforest. Much of it is a national park with a vast array of plants, animals, and now tourists. Costa Rican lodges like Bosque del Cabo lead the way in ecotourism. Vacationers relax in cabins made of sustainable materials powered by renewable energy on 750 preserved acres.
We just use about 1% of our property to be able to run the lodge.
Costa Rica working to balance business and pleasure to preserve its extraordinary balance of life. Ann Thompson, NBC News, the Osa Peninsula, Costa Rica.
So a little bit of guidance for you on this activity. The first idea is to communicate. We all have experiences and ideas or information, and our job is going to be to communicate them in Spanish. In this case, it was watching a video was the experience. Use your Spanish also. This can get very complicated with new vocabulary, big ideas. You don't want to get in over your head. Use words that you know or that you can manage reasonably, but don't try and say everything. So a balance will be important. You don't want to be perfectionist, but not too sloppy either. The only sentence that you would write should not be, el video fue sobre Costa Rica. Need more than that. Primer reportaje is first report. RST, abbreviated in Espanol, looks like a degrees sign. So first would be like that. That's what that says. Explica, explain. ¿Cómo ayuda el gobierno is how does the government help a preservar el medio ambiente? Describe este proyecto del video. Describe this project, the one from the video. Hace, I'm going to write. Hace años is a few years ago. Hace can mean ago when followed by a time period. I'm going to put hace unos años, like a few years ago. Hace unos años. Cortaron muchos árboles. Voy a poner aquí cortar. Looks like I don't have it in the word bank, but that would be helpful. To cut. En Costa Rica. CR es Costa Rica. Hace muchos años cortaron muchos árboles en Costa Rica. Hoy están plantando y cultivando Hoy están plantando y cultivando nuevos árboles y bosques. Así que hasta ahora I've used bosque, I've used some of these words, cortar. I want to use the word gobierno. So, el gobierno paga a los granjeros. So I've used granjeros, gobierno, por plantar árboles. O voy a ponerlo mejor, árboles. So pays en lugar de is instead of, in place of, criar. So I use criar ganado. Paga los granjeros por plantar is pays farmers for planting. I only need 1 to 4 sentences, remember. I'm really getting into it here, but writing as much as I can think of from just seeing it once. El gobierno, I want to answer this, ¿cómo ayuda el gobierno? El gobierno intenta parar, tries to stop, is trying to stop, la tala de árboles. I thought of intenta because I wanted to use to stop. Tries to stop. Intenta parar la tala de árboles. So I've used some more words. Y una cosa más. Ellos dicen que, is they say that. Dicen que más de, which could also be that abbreviation, más de 50% de Costa Rica es bosque. Hoy. No antes, hoy. No, antes era peor, había menos bosque. So I've used a bunch more words, tala, pagar. You do not have to use them all. The words are here to help you. Plantar I used. You use words that help you communicate an idea. That does not mean all of them. And 1 to 4 sentences. Well, for the segundo reportaje, you have a new question. Según este reportaje, according to this report, ¿qué hacen en Earth University? And you have some words to help you. Y tercer reportaje, ¿cómo pueden traer? Is kind of missing something. How can they bring? ¿Cómo pueden traer this should say ecoturismo a lugares? How can they bring ecotourism to places, a lugares, like, como here means like, Bosque del Cabo is the name of a place in the video, without, sin afectar el medio ambiente, without affecting the environment. Okay. Even if I didn't understand that question, I would work with it. I would get the gist of it. I'm going to write down something from the video. We're going to take notes in class, you see. There's some space for that there. So a couple of ending things. Remember, in class, we're going to keep going with this. Everyone will bring small little pieces. That's the point, is that we bring it together and we have something to talk about. And I also want you to remember, stay with Spanish when learning it. You've been kind of taken by the hand here and have some things explained in English, not because it's so hard or the activity is so important, but because I want you to see how the process would go with something that seems difficult. You do not need a translation in English or a video in English to understand something. You need just experience, go with your Spanish, and don't be perfectionist. Just that.
Finally, here tonight, a school with a mission to help save our planet by literally turning young people into stewards of this earth. Our Chief Environmental Affairs correspondent, Ann Thompson, traveled to Costa Rica recently to see what they're teaching at Earth University.
Banana production, traditionally hard on workers and the planet. But at this living laboratory in Costa Rica, they don't use chemical weed killers. They pay above minimum wage with medical benefits. And they turn a profit, nearly $500,000 a year. Welcome to Earth University, private school founded with 75 million American tax dollars.
We believe that we can combine the aspects of the environment, of the society, and at the same time be profitable.
University President Jose Zaglul says Earth's mission is unique in the world, teaching sustainability with agricultural and economic development to students from primarily poor areas of Latin America and Africa. Divided by cultures, students like Susana Hernandez of Mexico say they are united by problems.
The problems are in different places with different names, but they're all the same.
Students revolutionized banana production, creating a sustainable model now used by some of the biggest players in the industry.
At the fields, in the packing plant, or after we've used the bananas, we are reusing everything.
Banana stalks become fertilizer, plastic bags become pallet frames, even the banana fiber is reused.
The formula is 90% recycled paper, 10% banana fiber. Add some water, and this is what you get, banana paper.
Sold across Costa Rica as notebooks and stationery. And the bananas, 90% end up at Whole Foods stores in America. Here, each student must run a business, skills Agine Sharon wants to use in her native Uganda.
I would love to go back there and then I improve on the products we have.
And in doing so, improve people's lives.
Life is about hope. It's about knowing that you can make it if you make an effort.
Students charged to change the world by protecting it. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Guasimo, Costa Rica.
Now to our continuing series, Going Green. 40% of Americans say they would pay more to travel in an environmentally friendly way. So we're taking you to the country that's become a symbol of the ecotourism movement. Costa Rica is now facing the pressure of growing its ecotourism trade while at the same time trying to preserve nature. From the Osa Peninsula, here's NBC's Chief Environmental Affairs correspondent, Ann Thompson.
Costa Rica's Osa Peninsula, the last pristine coastline on Central America's Pacific side, and a mecca of ecotourism, where nature and vacationers coexist and thrive.
A business in a place like this, for us, it's not an option to be eco or green. I think it's an obligation, it's a necessity.
An attitude Daniel Guerin shares with his guests in the way he runs El Romanzo. The rooms sit on natural clearings. The restaurant is made from locally grown bamboo. And the power source, to get to it, you must rappel down a ravine and hike.
So in this little concrete box is the power plant?
Exactly.
One of 2 micropower stations that use water to make electricity for its 15 rooms.
This plant here produces about 1 kilowatt of power. Together with the other one, we have about 1.52 kilowatts power, which is about half the electricity any standard household in the US uses.
That means no hair dryers and no ice here or at 2 other nearby resorts. To get to them, you travel on a road that is more like off-roading. Here, electricity is scarce, but luxury is not. At Lapa Rios, the employee's kitchen is powered by methane from what the pigs leave behind.
Instead of buying propane gas, you're actually benefiting from what otherwise would be a waste.
But as with many things, with growth comes a muddying of the waters. And in this case, it's what does ecotourism really mean?
Conservationists say this is what it is not. Development sprawl elsewhere in Costa Rica that has made tourism the #1 industry.
A lot of places in Costa Rica are in the process of being loved to death. I think that we have an unique opportunity in the Osa Peninsula to avoid that.
With support from local and national governments, groups like Conservation International are working to make sure the tourism industry here remains sustainable.
The mission since the very beginning was to prove that a rainforest left standing is worth more than one cut down.
Making sure the visitors drawn by this primitive beauty don't unintentionally destroy it. Ann Thompson, NBC News, the Osa Peninsula, Costa Rica.